Hey Spirit Inspired people, it's Imani here with less of a hair tutorial but more of a discussion that I wanted to have with you about some things that I had on my mind recently. I will, however, list the products that I used in the description below because I do think this twist out came out really well. Before filming this recording, I had not done much, if anything, to my hair during these weeks of the lockdown, and I'm sure I'm not the only one who just doesn't feel like there's a need to, because we're not going out. But when I got to the point where I was feeling generally unbothered about doing the basic maintenance of my hair, of my body, getting dressed, and then it started to trickle down to just a lack of motivation to study or to do anything really. I then realized that I was not taking care of myself. And for me, when I'm not taking care of my physical appearance, it somehow begins to affect my mental well-being, hence the lack of motivation. And because we're going through some anxious times right now, for some more than others, people's mental health is a valid concern, understandably so. Any type of trauma or stress that you go through will present itself with an open door for negative thoughts, depression, or a lack of motivation for life in general. And something like depression, in my opinion, is an easy state to get into if you allow it, because you don't need massive amounts of motivation to get depressed. Another example is that you don't need to be pushed or coerced to eat junk food. It's usually the opposite. We actually have to motivate ourselves to exercise or to eat a healthy diet, to do the things that are good for us. It's the same when we need to motivate ourselves to achieve our dreams. It's only you that can do it. A valuable lesson that I learned when my dad passed away. I found out quickly that it was up to me to get through the grief that I was feeling. No one was going to do it for me. And sometimes in your time of need, you might not find anyone who wants to invest that time for you. After all, everyone is going through their own challenges and battles. Those you thought would care don't care, and some are even happy it's you and not them. You have to learn to motivate yourself. I had to motivate myself to overcome those feelings. And it was a fight, but sometimes you have to fight. Stand up to those negative thoughts, stand up to negative words, stand up to life. If you think about it, everything about life is set up to fail if you don't stand up to it. Even from the very beginning, as a baby, how many times does a baby try to take its first steps? They get up and then they fall. They try again and then they fall. And it happens again and again. Each time they're making steady progress until one day, victory, they're walking, and then your days of running around after them begins. So it's obvious really that you have to make purposeful, definitive decisions to progress every day. You can't leave it to chance, you can't leave it to luck. It's not going to happen by itself. And the progress that you want won't happen if all you can see is your current circumstances. The baby who's making attempts to walk sees beyond its senses or its current state of crawling on their hands and feet, and they know that something within them has the ability to walk. And I strongly believe that this is the subconscious you, the inner you, whichever you choose to call it, that entity that is stronger and has greater power than the conscious you, i.e. the one who functions by its five senses, seeing, hearing, we know all of them. The subconscious spirit that takes over the conscious and equips you with the strength to do something that you never thought that you could. And that's what spirit-inspired actions really started from. How many times do we go through a huge traumatic experience or achieve something great and then say, wow, I didn't know I could get through that. I didn't know I could do that. I didn't know I had that in me. Something just drew it out of me. What is that thing? How do you activate the inner you? How do you activate this principle? How do you stand up to life? Well, I think it starts with a thought. How else can you communicate with your subconscious but through your mind? By sending it signals, telling it what you need, by taking in the things that you want. If you want to be inspired to achieve a goal, read books that inspire you about that subject. If you want to lose weight, watch those that have lost weight and can motivate you to do the same. If you want to be happy, listen to the people that lift you up, and that also includes cutting off those that don't. Take your eyes off the things that are depressing you or sparking fear in your heart. The news or social media is a great example for that. Obviously, it's good to know what's happening in the world, but if the news or the images are becoming too much and are overwhelming you and taking you to a place of fear, then just stop and give yourself some time away from it and take in things that actually bring joy. I'm sure if you knew that there was an inner you that could take over any circumstance when you needed it the most, take control of your thoughts and your feelings, bring it back to a place that is better for you, you would give it all your attention. You would give it your thoughts, you would give it your mind, and you wouldn't waste your time worrying and allowing fear to determine your actions based on what you see or hear. Unless you want to be afraid or you want to give up on life, which I don't think anybody naturally without influence wants to do that. So by sending the inner you these type of signals, it begins to recognize your need for strength or your need for a new idea or your need for a plan for your next step. And somehow it just quickly springs into action. We all have a common problem to overcome at the moment, and what is happening right now is so sad. But without times like this, we would never utilize or exercise the faith to call upon this force, to realize the strength we have to get through the times that we are in, and we will come out stronger. So I needed to get out of the bad habits that I saw myself getting into and refuse to fear and not allow my emotions to be tossed to and fro by whatever is around me. God has not given me a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and a sound mind. Keep taking spirit-inspired actions and do it in style.